Is it ever okay to yell at a child in a restaurant, specifically if that child is not yours? That is the tough philosophical question we'll be tackling today. G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie and get ready for it, because this one's really something else. Am I the arsehole for yelling at a child in a restaurant? For context, I, 32 male, have never been comfortable around children. As long as they leave me alone, I can be in the same area as them for a while, but I do not want to interact with them much. I have some younger nieces and nephews, and have gotten used to them because they're family, but I still don't care to be around them for extended periods of time. The past week, I was out with a couple of my friends at a sit-down restaurant. Shortly after we were seated, a family with a young boy, probably about 5, was seated at the table next to us. I was dismayed, but I decided I was not going to show my frustration. However, the boy was very noisy from almost the moment he sat down, and his parents did not seem like they were trying to keep him quiet. As the evening went on, I got more and more angry at this disruption of what should have been a pleasant evening with friends. Eventually, the boy started getting out of his chair and running around his table. At one point, I decided to excuse myself to the restroom, and that's when it happened. As I got up and started towards the restroom, the kid was out of his chair. I was walking past the table, and he, not paying attention, ran out and bumped into my leg. At that point, I snapped and shouted at him, "Get away from me, you stupid idiot!" He started crying and ran to his mom. Both of their parents started yelling at me, saying how dare I call their precious child an idiot. I yelled back, saying that they should control their child better and that someone could have gotten hurt. As we argued, everyone in the restaurant started looking at us, and eventually a manager came over and threatened to kick us out. By this point, the evening was ruined, and my friends and I just paid our checks and left. My friends told me later that they thought I was the asshole for going off like I did. I think maybe I shouldn't have said what I did, but I was frustrated that the parents of the child just let him disrupt everything. What do you think? Am I the arsehole? How do you think you're not an arsehole in this situation? I'm genuinely perplexed. You knew that a situation like this was likely when you went to go to the toilet, and when it did happen, instead of having the self-awareness to be like, I'm in public, this is a little kid, there are people here watching me, especially my friend group. You just don't care and you scream at the kid and say, "Get away from me, you stupid idiot"? That is absolutely not how you deal with this situation. This is one of those fantasy situations you can play out in your head, but you never ever ever let see the light of day. You are a complete piece of crap for doing this. You deserve all the hate you're getting from your friends. Shame on you. You're the asshole. Now in the comments, RB1327 says, "You're the asshole. Say the same thing to an adult who accidentally bumps into you and see what happens. Whether you like kids isn't the issue, it is your abysmal social skills." Yeah, OP being dismayed at a child being seated near him is extreme, as was yelling and what he yelled when the little guy ran into him. You can express annoyance in a better way. You're the asshole. Seriously, look, I dislike kids as well. With only 4 I actually like, my niece and the 3 kids next door I let play with my dog since they know not to hit animals while playing with them. So I understand being annoyed being around kids that you don't like. But you ask the parents to keep their child under control. You ask management to get involved if the parents refuse. You do not, under any circumstances, turn your anger on the kid. The kid running into him should have been met with, "Careful there, buddy. Someone could get hurt." The child doesn't know any better, and to take out your anger and frustration on them is just cruel. Exactly. This was a kid being a kid. And yeah, his parents should have done something to control him, but that's not the kid's fault. Calling a 5-year-old an idiot is never ever okay. Given OP's insane reaction, I doubt the kid was even as loud and disruptive as he claims. Just insane intolerance. I am suspicious as well. OP has some serious Patrick Bateman energy. Am I the arsehole for chasing a child down a corridor and dropping a chainsaw on them? In my defense, they were very loud. You're the arsehole. If an adult accidentally bumped into you, I doubt you would have yelled at them or called them a stupid idiot. You don't have to enjoy children or spend a lot of time with them, but you do have to tolerate their existence. And you don't get to be dismayed that one sits at a nearby table in a public place. You were mad about the kid before he even did anything. I can't judge if the noise level was excessive, or if you just decided anything this kid did was going to piss you off. But your reaction is clearly over the top. The whole story was this in spades. If you hate kids that much, the thing to do is request another table. Yeah, I'm super curious as to what type of restaurant it was too, because this dude's tone definitely says, I'd be pissed if a kid spoke out loud at Applebee's. And our next post is by user Throwaway3994, titled, Am I the asshole for cancelling my son's birthday because of the gift he bought his stepbrother? So I have 2 sons, Matt 32 and Benjamin 17. Matt is my stepson, my wife's bio son, and Benjamin is my biological son. He and Matt are not close due to age gap, and because they don't live in the same house, but they are cordial to each other. Matt is married, and him and his wife have infertility issues that they've been struggling with for years. Benjamin is known for his sense of humor, quote-unquote, but I don't think he's funny. He's focused on making comments about and teasing Matt and his wife, such as, I don't know what it's like to have a niece or nephew and probably never will, or, the age gap between me and y'all makes people assume that I'm y'all's son. It is hurtful for Matt, so I told Benjamin to tone it down, but to no avail. Last week we celebrated Matt's birthday at my house, and Matt is like a happy child when it comes to presents. He liked all the gifts that we got him, except Benjamin. Benjamin bought a gift and handed it to Matt. Matt said thanks, I really appreciate the effort. Benjamin said he could open it, and Matt quickly unwrapped the gift and revealed a red shirt with the words "Best Dad Ever" on it. He and his wife looked at each other. I felt terrible, and I kept shaking my head as Benjamin laughed, telling him to try it on so everyone can see how it looks on him. Matt and wife were upset. My wife and family were silent. I got into an argument with Benjamin as Matt and wife got ready to leave. Benjamin acted dumb when I asked what he was thinking pulling this stunt and defending Matt like that. He said there's literally thousands of people wearing t-shirts that say a lot of stuff, and that in no way means that they insult the person wearing them, and it's not like every t-shirt people wear has to be accurate with their life. I replied that no matter how we tried to spin it, giving Matt a Best Dad Ever t-shirt, knowing he's struggling to become a dad, was tacky at best and cruel at worst. I then said because of what he did, I'm cancelling the dinner reservation for his 18th birthday in 2 months' time, and he lost it, saying that he was just teasing Matt, and it wasn't a big deal. He tried to negotiate, but I shut it down. He then called his uncle and aunt, who treat him as if he was their son, and made excuses for him. I had an argument with his uncle after he said I shouldn't cancel Benjamin's birthday dinner over a teasing gift, and that it wasn't his fault some people are hypersensitive and can't take a joke. I refused to discuss it after more family members asked I let it go, and told them they were free to host his birthday instead. Am I the asshole? I really wonder in this situation, if Matt punched Benjamin square in the jaw, if he would just turn around and say, you know, it's fine because this in no way is meant to insult you. It's not like every punch I throw to your face is accurate with your life. I'm just pulling a stunt, man. Stop acting so offended. What's wrong with you? God, I'm so done with your hypersensitivity, man. You really can't take a joke, can you? Here, have another one. Bam! I really think that you cancelling his birthday dinner in this instance is the least you can do. In my opinion, these actions warrant much harsher punishment for that. It's not even a joke at this point, it's just torture, it's just mental torture, and public embarrassment in front of the entire family. Benjamin has serious issues that need to be stamped out ASAP. Not the asshole for this, but please do more. Now in the comments, Daydream128 says, hardcore not the asshole. That gift wasn't funny. It was cruel and beyond insensitive. Cancelling his birthday dinner is letting him off lightly in my opinion. He knew what he was doing. He has repeatedly stabbed the same open wound. This is just bullying. Opie needs to gift him a t-shirt that says, "This is my birthday present. No assholes here." Give him a small box that looks like it could belong to car keys, and when he opens it, it's just a picture of a middle finger. Nah, this small box should be an expensive car keychain logo, implying they bought him an expensive car. But that's it. The keychain's the gift. Lots of people have keychains to all sorts of stuff, so he'll get over it. Keychain that says best driver. The presentation is important here. OP, go rent a car. A nice one. Get a huge bow, put the bow on top of the car. Tell your son his present is outside under the bow. When he goes outside and tries to get in the locked car, tell him it's under the bow. And that is where he finds his world's best driver gift, on top of the car, under the bow. Then say, oh, I just rented a car as a part of the joke. I mean, it's just a joke. No need to be so hypersensitive about it, right? Not the asshole. Sounds like Ben has a mean streak that people excuse as humor. I can think of a bunch of t-shirt messages for him on his birthday. I bullied a family member for no reason, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. Not the asshole. A joke is only funny if both parties find it funny. That wasn't a joke. It was just being malicious. He's old enough to know what he's doing and know all about actions having consequences, etc. It's a cliche, but he's played the stupid game and won the stupid prize. Our next post is by user Significant Sale 8741 titled, Am I the Arsehole for drinking a single Busch Light every day with lunch? So I started a new job last month. At my previous employer, they were very lax and laid back. They had work-sponsored beer Fridays at the end of every week, and they served beer at the work cafeteria with a limit of one per person during the workday. That being said, I usually drank a Busch Light or an IPA every day with my lunch for the past 2.5 years. During the interview process at my new job, they asked me what I liked about my then current employer, and I mentioned that they were very lax, and the interviewer said, not to brag, but we're known for having a very lax culture here as well. I would bet that we're more laid back than your current employer. This was a relief to hear. I'll skip past the boring parts, but after a few more interviews at this place, I got an offer and took a job. Upon accepting the position, I was mailed an onboarding packet with the employee handbook. I read the handbook from front to back and didn't see anything about a no alcohol policy in the book. This, along with the mention of a very lax work culture, had me thinking not many things would change from a culture standpoint from my old job to my new one. The first few weeks was a lot of training, and the training usually ran over lunch, so they would provide us with a variety of sandwich options and pizza that was catered, as well as drink options, waters, sodas, juice, tea, coffee, etc. So I would just help myself to whatever they provided. Later in the month, my boss scheduled a lunch at a restaurant with our vendor to introduce me to them and explain my new role, and at this lunch, my boss was the first person to order a beer, and the rest of us followed suit. This was another good sign. Fast forward to last week, training was over, and I was starting to settle into a routine and working more on my day-to-day tasks. That being said, I packed my own lunch, and included in my lunch was a Busch Light. I ate the first few lunches at my desk, undisturbed by anyone else. I didn't think anything of it. Eventually, I was invited to eat lunch at the lunchroom upstairs, so I joined some colleagues upstairs for lunch. I unpacked my lunch and cracked open my Busch Light. Immediately, I could sense a "what the hell is this guy thinking" vibe from my colleagues, but no one said anything. I brushed it off. Later that day, HR stopped by along with my boss and called me into the HR office. They said what I did was unacceptable and that I'm lucky I'm not getting fired for that type of behavior. I mentioned the vendor lunch and my boss shot me daggers. We ended the meeting with an agreement that I would refrain from drinking alcohol on the job again. The next day, my boss chewed me out for throwing him under the bus and asked me what the hell I was thinking. I don't get the big deal. No grown adult gets drunk or even buzzed off one single beer with lunch. I was following his lead and thought it was acceptable. So much for lax. I really feel like you're distorting what lax means. Just because they didn't have a policy that is against alcohol in the workplace doesn't mean it's not implied. You definitely didn't do your due diligence in this situation by not asking your boss first and being like, hey, I had 1 beer at lunch every lunchtime at my last job. Is that cool here? And with that conversation, you would have been told absolutely not, and you would have had your answer, and this never would have happened in the first place. This is entirely on you. You're the asshole. Now in the comments, Juicy Dog says, you're the asshole. I've never heard of a workplace that permits drinking in the middle of the day. A business lunch is different. Lax is one thing, irresponsible is another. You should have asked what they meant by lax. I work at an extremely lax company. We have a very well-stocked fridge full of beers, and we will often use any sort of afternoon celebrations as an excuse to have one, as well as every Friday afternoon. But it's something that's always done in a group. Just drinking alone at lunch would be weird, and despite our extremely laid-back atmosphere, I've never seen anybody do that. Exactly this. If it's done in a group, that's one thing. If you're the only one, then that is weird, and the HR treatment is definitely the right way to go. I agree. The group setting is key. OP, you had to have been aware that drinking, even 1 beer, alone at lunchtime is absolutely not a normal practice that really any company follows, at least in America as far as I know. This is something that you absolutely should have asked about first. If you're ever unsure about something work-related, especially something that could get you fired, you really should ask first. Sorry OP, but you're the asshole. You're the asshole. A lax workplace doesn't mean feel free to drink on the job. Surely the fact they didn't serve alcohol with lunch whilst you were training should have been enough of a clue. And you're the asshole. Are you serious? If you happen to work somewhere that they encouraged drinking during work hours, you should know they were in the minority. Was that the only job you've ever had? A lax work culture does not mean anything goes. It should be common sense that the majority of professional work environments do not want you cracking open a beer in the lunchroom. And our next post is by user SirComfortable6797, titled, Am I the asshole for reducing pizza sizes due to inflation? So my nephew said I should post here and that you folks could help set me straight. I own a pizza joint in a Midwestern city. I don't give out personal details online, so that's as much as I'll say. Before everyone went crazy about the pandemic, my store sold a 16-inch square pie, special grandma style. Now with the economy in shambles, and everyone still freaking out about the pandemic, inflation is through the roof, and I have to either raise prices or cut back on sizes to keep my business going. That means I've had to modify the 16-inch square pizza recipe to a 16 by 10 rectangle. It's a 30% savings that just offsets my losses from inflation. Well, now my business is being harassed by people angry about the inflation, but they're taking it out on me, not the politicians responsible. I've had people order the 16 by 10 square and then charge me back through Grubhub, DoorDash, and all other leech delivery services, claiming I lied about the pizza because it's not literally a square. I try to explain to these mopes that square is just a style and doesn't have to be literally a square from math class, but I get charged back every damn time. Am I the asshole here? My nephew says that I should think about it and ask you folks, and you would set me right. So have at it. Am I the asshole for doing what's necessary to save my business? Now in the comments, Quirky Syrup 55947 says, You're the asshole. Just up your prices. It's not going to shock anyone. It is the new reality. Then offer your discounted rectangle as an alternate. Us Midwesterners are a simple but pragmatic bunch. Own it and we will accept it. Hide it and we will protest with our mouths and our wallets. Oh, and don't try to hide it under a bunch of verbal technicalities on the definition of a square. We also don't stand for bullcrap. Bait and switch is infuriating. As a fellow Midwesterner, I agree with this. The price has gone up on everything. We know. We also know that a square is a parallelogram with 4 equal sides. Don't try to bullcrap your customers. They won't be customers again. Yes, OP, you're the asshole. You're the asshole. A square is also a rectangle, but a rectangle is not also a square. The fact that you originally sold a legit square pie and you're still calling the smaller rectangular pie square, that is not good marketing. And I just saw your comment that the website photos still show the 16 by 16 inch square pizza. So now you're definitely an asshole and a fraud. He answered in another comment that he still uses the photo from the 16 by 16 pizza because he doesn't want to mess with it. You're the asshole and not very marketing savvy. If you want to reduce the size of the square pie, you reduce the perimeter in proportion. A square is, by definition, a four-sided shape with equal side lengths. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.